And I assume you're not even here because you, like me, feel, as you think about ethical questions, that we are in a period of inordinate moral confusion. And I don't mean by that moral decay. I don't want to suggest that somehow we are collapsing downward into a vortex of lost ethics. I think there's plenty of evidence that our ethics is strong and rising, but it's such a mixed picture, and there is so much confusion in the headlines out there. But I think there's something more. And I think you would agree with me when you, like me and like most of the public, seems to have a sense that something is changing, that there's some kind of a tectonic shift going on underneath the surface, because we look back at our own upbringing and we don't find in the public sphere this kind of attention to ethics that it's now getting. What's happening out there? Let me give you a quick story that illustrates that. You remember, I'm sure, the love bug virus, computer virus, from I think the year 2001 or 2000, something like that. Launched, we now know, by a couple of kids in the Philippines. Not terrorists, and not even kids out to line their pockets and get rich. Just kids pushing the envelope. That virus, as you may remember, produced more than $5 billion worth of global damage. Done by kids who, I would suspect, if they wanted to push the envelope in Manila, that's not a Manila envelope, if they wanted to push the envelope in the Philippines in 1950, what would they have done? Well, they would have chased cats. They would have broken windows. They would have stolen hubcaps. Now they've got this computer keyboard, and now they sit down and produce this thing that creates billions in damage. Don't be under the illusion that these kids are the worst and most unethical kids that ever walked the face of the planet. They are not. They are your average garden variety kid with an unclear sense of a moral compass and a terrifically entrepreneurial spirit and a lot of smarts and not a lot of capacity for social integration, perhaps. And they're out there working on their computer keyboards. This doesn't happen 50 years ago. What we're seeing now is a capacity for our technology to leverage our ethics in ways we have never seen before, so that the same unethical impulse that's been there down through the centuries is now capable of producing global, immediate, and catastrophic effects. And that's just love bug computer virus, that's just one example. That's the story of Chernobyl. That's the story of the Exxon Valdez. That's, in fact, the story of 9/11. The story of technologies that didn't exist. Big aluminum tubes filled with fuel flying around in the sky 75 years ago. You don't get that kind of leveraging of unethical decision-making in the past. Let me suggest to you then that one of the reasons you're here is because this question of ethics has moved from the periphery right into the center. This is one of the defining first intensity issues for our future. And I would go so far as to suggest that if we're not thoughtful about how we raise the next generation around these questions of ethics and character, we are looking at a situation where we may not survive the 21st century with the ethics of the 20th century. Talk about ethics and character today, you are talking about survival.